Hello, my name is Kerry Arth, and today we're going to take a look at the Ritual of the Damned faction focus for the Thousand Sons, for the man who did nothing wrong, Magnus, and his lads. I mean, Magnus was just being a good son. That's all he was doing. You can't argue with that. He was trying to give a warning. He was going straight to Dad and being like, there's trouble. You need to look at this. All perfectly innocent attempt there. Just because he caused a bit of a mess. You know, you don't disown your child because they knocked over a valuable, vase off the shelf, do you? And yet, where did he end up? Admittedly, it was slightly more severe than that. You know, opening up terror to a whole bunch of demons. Not quite the same as knocking a bit of valuable heirloom itemry off a shelf, but still, he did nothing wrong, is the basic gist of that. So, we know who the Thousand Sons are. They're all full of sorcerers, spectral warriors, dust inside armour after the rubric of Ahriman, and they are having a bit of a ritual there in the fourth book for Psychic Awakening. So, the time of their revenge is at hand. The Grey Knights and the Dark Angels coming and essentially, I'm assuming, trying to murder the shit out of them, as you do. So, as well as background on Magnus' plans and the Thousand Sons' battles with the Dark Angels and Grey Knights who oppose them, it's also chock full of new rules for the followers of the Crimson King. So first up is the ability to dedicate each of your detachments to one of the 9 cults of the Thousand Sons, which I'm pretty sure is 4 more than they had before. They had 5, didn't they, during the Horus Heresy? Or, pre-heresy, during the heresy? Yeah, there was 5, wasn't there? I think there was. There was Corvidae, there was Pyre. That's probably how you pronounce that. It's probably not. I can vaguely remember how it's spelled. Raptora, Pavoni? Was that the other one? Pavoni? What was the 5th one? I'm sure there was a 5th one. No, not Athenians. Athenians? Aeneans? I can't. There was 5. I cannot remember what the 5th one was. Or it may technically be the first one. Either way, I can't remember it. So, the cults have their roots in the Legion of Fallen Prospero dating back even before the Horus Heresy, and give the Psykers and the detachment access to additional psychic powers, warlord traits, and relics. Whichever cult you devote yourself to, you'll get some new tools with which to reap your revenge on the Imperium. Okay, so, first of all, the phrasing on that suggests to me that each of the cults will have multiple things, so it's not just the one thing. It'll give the Psykers and the detachment access to additional psychic powers, warlord traits, and relics. So if there's 9 cults, and then there's at least one of each of those, that's quite a lot of options. That's quite a few things to choose from. So, okay, bit of variety going on there. Quite a bit by the look of it. So, dedicate yourself to the Cult of Time, and use Time Flux to turn back the clock and return dead troops back to your ranks. So, Cult of Time is a psychic power. So, Time Flux is a psychic power, okay? So, when the cult suffers grievous losses, the Psyker traverses temporal pathways to locate its fallen warriors and return them unscathed. Time Flux has a warp charge value of 5 if manifested. Select one friendly Cult of Time infantry unit within 6 inches of this Psyker. You can return one destroyed model from that unit to the battlefield with all of its wounds remaining, placing it in unit coherency. That's fun, I like that. If the unmodified result of the psychic test was 9+, you can instead return up to D3 destroyed models from that unit to the battlefield with all of their wounds remaining, placing them in unit coherency. I do like that. That feels pretty Zinch. A little bit of time, messing about I quite like that. I'd be interested to see if it is psychic powers, traits, and relics, what kind of trait and relic we could expect from Cult of Time, actually. Because I imagine that could be quite a fun one. It does look interesting. Yeah, okay. I like that. Good start. So, pledge yourself to the Cult of Duplicity, and your Warlord gains the Duplicitous Tactician trait. If your enemy thinks they have a tactical advantage after deployment, then your Warlord will soon dissuade them of that notion. So, Cult of Duplicity, and the trait is Duplicitous Tactician. This deceitful Warlord deploys false images of his warriors to confuse and confound the foe, the very act being a veneration of the Great Conspirator. At the start of the first battle round, before the first turn begins, select up to D3 Cult of Duplicity units from your army. Remove those units and this Warlord from the battlefield, then set them up again following the normal deployment rules for those units and the mission being played. I actually really like that, that's really fun. If you redeploy a transport model, all units embarked inside that model remain so when it is set up again. That's a nice clarification and changes that a little bit. In a good way, I think. Being able to take a transport off with models inside, then place it somewhere else is kind of fun. Very Alpha Legion as well, I feel, in a way. Obviously, it's not... Alpha Legion don't have the copyright on being stealthy and tricksy, but yeah. Yeah, I quite like that. So I'm liking the cult so far. If you want your warlord to look good while carrying out their Primarch's nefarious schemes, then join the Cult of Change. And give it's such an advert thing. Join the Cult of Change for $5.99 a month. Okay, give them the capricious crest. It's also said that Tzeentch drinks deeply of the tears of those who celebrate a successful psychic test only to see it fail. That's a lot of flavour text for not a lot of actual... Okay, so let's get into this then. So relic this time round. The Capricious Crest is an ancient helmet with a form constantly in flux. When the bearer takes to the field, it might appear as an avian skull, but on their return it may have become a tall headpiece with an all-seeing eye at its centre. None can tell if a corrupted machine spirit is responsible for this, or if a denizen of the warp resides within the helm. I mean, if no one in the Thousand Suns can tell what the hell this is, that strikes me as being a little alarming, but sure. What is certain is that the innate power of change emanates from the relic, its mercurial nature reaching out across the battlefield to cheat the enemy of their psychic gifts while granting sorcerous boons to unworthy allies. Once per turn, when a psychic test is taken for a model within 18 inches of a model with this relic, you can change the result of that psychic test as follows. If that army is from your army, if that model is from your army, you can change any roll of 1 to a roll of 6. Don't know why that was so difficult for me to read. If that model is from your opponent's army, you can change any roll of 6 to a 1. Okay, alright. Okay. I can feel that. That's kind of fun. The limitation is interesting. You can change any roll of 1 to a 6, so it only applies to rolls of 1 if it's from your army. But you can increase it to a 6, and it only works on a roll of 6 to a roll of 1 from your opponent's army. Why that in particular? I mean, is it just because D6s? Is that it? Is that the only thinking behind that? Because it's interesting, and I do like the flavour of that, but that it feels like both helpful and limited at the same time, I guess, is the way I'd phrase that. But still... Yeah, that's fun. I don't... Yeah. I'm not sure how effective that would be in the long term, but it is interesting at the very least. I mean, that is just the item for the Cult of Change, so there is still the trait and the power as well, so... But yeah, okay. Interesting approach with that, I think, it's fair to say. Of course, you don't have to dedicate your army to a cult. Enrich for the Damned also includes a host of new stratagems that can be used by any Thousand Suns army. With Risen Rubrica, you can make the most of the foresight of Tzeentch to awaken troops buried years ahead of time. Oh dear. Oh, that's funny. I don't know why that's made me laugh so much. You can make the most of the foresight of Tzeentch to awaken troops buried years ahead of time. Oh, that's taking the whole just as planned meme to a whole new level. Lads, look, there's gonna be a fight here in 200 years. We're just gonna bury you down there, right? Don't worry about it. We'll be back. Just wait. It'll be a while. I mean, 200 years, 1,000 years, 2 years. We're not really sure. It's very difficult to tell. Just get in the hole, and we'll see you later. What? Also, it's just making me think of the Tom Cruise War of the Worlds film, where the Martians were already here for however long. Quite a good film. I enjoyed it. I do like a bit of War of the Worlds, but yeah, that's very silly. I love it. So, one command point. A plan decades in the making comes to fruition as Rubric Marines emerge at a fateful hour. Use this strategy when you set up a Rubric Marines unit from your army during deployment. That unit can be set up anywhere on the battlefield that is more than 9 inches from the enemy deployment zone and any enemy models. You can only use this stratagem once per battle. Oh, boo! Boo! I mean, why would you use it? Well, I mean, you probably would use it more than once, but I really love the idea of there being 8 squads just lying around. Bit costly on the old command points though, but still. Oh, that's tickled me, that's made me laugh. Excellent. Well, if you get nothing else. So, that's just a taste of what's coming. Grab some Exalted Sorcery if you want. Okay, so some interesting and fun stuff in there. That does feel quite fun, to be honest. That does feel fun. That's quite an enjoyable approach to things. It all feels suitably zinchy. Some of it may be a little silly in its approach to being zinchy, but still, yeah, I like that. That's fun. Okay, so let me know what you think in the comments down below of that preview of what is coming in the next Psychic Awakening. Is there anything you're particularly looking forward to in terms of the other cults? You've got any random guesses as to what some of the traits and stuff would be for the ones we don't have traits for yet? Yeah, let me know what you think in the comments down below. In the meantime, feel free to click all the things. You know what to do. Click them if you want, don't have to. And there's the affiliate link in the description for Element Games, where if you buy something from there, I get something for saying it that way. 10% that goes to charity, and it's cheaper than buying it from Games Workshop to begin with. So really, just a nice way to support the channel with no extra effort. You do that if you like. I leave it entirely up to you. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.